hope. I think we're live, and I think we have 3 people. I am doing it in a crazy, and you should see my way I have this set up. It's like with my hairband that I usually have on my wrist. So, Brian, I'm glad you're here, and let me see who else is here. Brian and Jason, thank you. Mitch, awesome to have you. Jeremy, and Carlos, thank you guys so much for coming. All right, let's see if I can. Oh, crappy pappy. There we go. I think I have it so I can see everything now, maybe. You know how when you're trying something new, that always happens. But, all right, so hopefully you guys are well versed on Periscope. I know sometimes there's trouble in certain weeks. There's issues. Have you guys had any trouble specifically have y'all had anything using, this is a new kind of thing for me, and so I'm trying to see how it works. So anybody? Well, I'm gonna tell you today, just to try something different. Just haven't been super happy with, we've had some glitches, and I feel bad for my guests when that happens, and so I just want to make sure it's not happening anymore. So I'm searching out. Brian, you were awesome. You sent me a ton of links. I am going to definitely, we're going to talk. And Carlos, thank you for the email. I'm going to get with you as well. Jeremy Rivers had some good suggestions. He said Periscope's good. He likes it because he can have it in his hand, and most people have their phones with them. But it's all the other kind of stuff. For some reason, I'm not seeing any chat. Maybe now am I seeing the chat? Maybe somebody type something and see if I can see something. Why can I not see it? And oh, there we go. I see now. Yay. Thank you, Jeremy. So Jeremy said, so the other one is Blab. And a lot of other people are on that one as well. And it's sort of similar to how I started with Spreecast, where there's, up to 4 people. I guess I did hide it, Jason, but now it's back. I can read everybody's stuff. So thank you, because I'm not so good at this yet. But anyway, hopefully you guys will let me know. And I am recording it. Jana suggested that I still record it so that I have something. So I'm recording it. So there's a camera. I mean, really jerry-rigged here today. Hopefully I sort of cleaned the part of my office behind there. I can't do much about the boxes. But anyway, let me know. Send me an email, diane@designrecharge.org. If you have another platform that you think would be good. One thing I like about the one I'm using is that it goes straight to YouTube. But, Carlos does a YouTube live stream, and that seems to work for a lot of people. But I just want something that's a little bit tighter. One thing I really like with Spreecast, and I know, Jason, you were there a long time ago, and you've been with me a long time. So it was, all right, so I'll check out Twitch for sure. But it was that you'd see the chat and you could see the people, and that's kind of what I like about this. I can actually see Jason's picture if you have, a picture next to it. I know what Mitch looks like because we're friends on Facebook, and so I know, when I see, it's kind of nice to be able to see that. So I definitely am looking for some feedback from y'all about where you want to go. I definitely want to keep doing it. I just want it to be better than maybe what it's doing. And I just don't like my guests getting frustrated. I know we were doing it from Germany last week, so maybe that was part of it. But he was great, by the way, Derek. If you missed him, you can always catch it on the replay, and you'll be able to catch this on the replay as well. And I swear, Jason is hilarious and always takes me off track, but I love it. So I could give you hearts, Jason. I totally would right now, because you're and if you're new, you can just tap the screen and you give me hearts, or you like what I'm saying. So let's get into some of the content, which is a rapid recharge this week for Design Recharge. If you're not familiar, I'm Diane Gibbs, because I didn't say that already. I do a web show every week, and this time I'm doing it on Periscope. So today's episode is all about is all, yeah, totally ADHD. I got a Twitter feed. I guess maybe I should turn those off before, but I think it's good. Like Mitch is talking to me on Twitter, which is great. But anyway, it's all about how to sell your idea. And no matter who you are, you have to sell your idea to something. It doesn't have to be for designers, but I think of these as great things for designers. But this could be for like trying to get something from my husband or something. It's good to kind of research the stuff. And everybody has to sell their idea to something. But as designers, we have to pitch ideas a lot. And we have to get people on our team. And my Amazon package has been delivered now. Maybe I should have turned those off. Anyway, something to do next time. So I think you should first research your client. I think you need to connect on social media. If it's somebody who this is a new client you're working with, or I even think you should kind of know where the client is. Hopefully you already know that as you've gotten a new project or something, but see what they're currently doing so that you can, and maybe just see what they're doing personally and see how that is. Because sometimes I always feel like sometimes people are intimidated. They come into a creative's office and it's not the way they do business. They don't have toys all over, or they're, whatever. It's just very different. And so they can be intimidated. I always say, hey, wear some color. You don't want to be in all black maybe, because it can be even more intimidating. And this isn't black, just so you know, it's navy. It just looks really dark. So set the tone. Make a connection early on. Research them before the meeting, or at least at the beginning of the meeting. Kind of get a feel for how they're feeling, or how their day's going, or what their week's been like, or whatever. Just kind of get a tone of them that day. I think it's really important. And I also think if this is kind of a new project, or if it's building, kind of keep them in the process. I think is really helpful. And you want to share what prompted, like in an initial interview, what prompted them. What did they say that prompted you to come up with this idea? I think that's kind of a neat way to go. And I'm sorry, I'm reading my notes. And I know I said there were 5, and there's really 9. So 4 extra bonus. The next one I think is recognize what you're feeling about the project or idea. Sometimes we're not super sold on it. And I think that can be concerning. It can come across. You have to let that go, and you have to be all in. And I think of this like when a friend is starting to date somebody, and you're like, I don't really think that guy's really good. But you can't say that. You have to be like, you know what? I see that they like him, or she likes him, not they. She likes him for a certain reason, and I've got to be on board with that. And I think you have to kind of, it could be that inner voice that's telling you suck or whatever. You need to let that go, and you need to go back to the awesomeness of your idea. And the next one is be enthusiastic. So first recognize where you are and how you actually feel about the project. And if you're feeling uncomfortable or unsure, realize that, admit that, own up to it, and then go back to where you got that enthusiasm for in the beginning. And if you didn't, I think that's one of the biggest parts of our job as a designer. If you're going to be going up in the ranks, I guess, to be the person that's sitting with the client, you have to be able to sell the idea, and you have to get them to be able to get on board. So recognize how you're feeling and admit to it instead of just being anxious about it. Recognize it and own up. So get enthusiastic, because enthusiasm is catching. So today I was talking to one of my students. I'm a full-time professor. I teach graphic design. I also have my own business doing graphic design, and then I do this little web show. I mean, I have other things that I do, but not much really. So I was talking to her about her project, and she was kind of like deadpan face. And so I said, I was like, tell me about this. They're making a hotel, and they have to we were talking about the writing today. And she's like, oh, well, I was like, it's all art history, kind of. It's like a history based. It's really cool sounding. the Caravaggio, actually, the hotel and spa, I think. It's all made up, though. There probably is a real one. But anyway, so she lit up when I said, oh, you should really take an art history class that's the writing, and because it seems like she would really enjoy that. And she's like, oh, I love art history. And her face just changed. That's what you want to be. You want to have that face change, that lightning in whatever, like, gets you your, I don't know, lightning going off in your head. I want you to grasp onto that. And to some extent, you become an actor. Amy Cuddy would call it fake it till you become it, because again, at some point in the process, hopefully you were excited about this project. So get that enthusiastic. And then Amy Cuddy, a good entrance into her is the power stance. And granted, I can't really do it because I'm sitting here, but I'm going to show you. I think that's Courtney. So power stance, right? So you stand like this with your arms up, right? Of course, you don't do a lunge, but that's what you do. Or like this, and I'm bending down. So you could just stand this way for like 2 minutes before you go to your client or go talk to your husband or whatever it is that you want, because it's actually cortisol is released. And I sit without a chair without a back. Just, I don't know. I like this chair the best. People think, oh, poor girl, they can't even get her a chair with a back. Anyway, but I can. I just don't like it. I have a chair over there with a back. I don't like it. Anyway, so do the power stance, or if you have to pee, well, you could put your hands maybe in other places if you have to pee. I love the Amy Cuddy TED Talk for sure. And I don't know, I can't see the picture really well, so I think maybe that's Courtney, maybe not. So that power stance is going tap to screen. Oh, thanks so much, Jeremy. I'm trying to read what he says. Yeah, if you like it, hit the screen and you'll give me some hearts. So the power stance is good. Oh, Cammie, awesome. Oh, Cammie, great to see you. Cammie's in Florida. Anyway, so do the power stance. Only if you're under 8. No, do the power stance today. I was talking to another professor, and he was just standing there with his heat, and I was like, good for you, power stance. And he's like, yeah, I just got back from the gym. I guess he was sweaty maybe, but it's really good. Like, that's a good way to be. And you can even do a one arm if you're in a meeting and you need like to rev your cortisol up. But actually, people come across as more confident and more sure of what they're doing. So literally do it before. I mean, not like you're out in the waiting room and you're like this. Don't do that. But out in the waiting room like this, or before you go in, you're literally standing this way because your cortisol is going to go up, and that means you're going to come across to others as being more confident. All right, so now number 5, the client enters. So you could do it in the meeting. For sure, Brian. In the meeting, he says. All right, so you want to gauge the clients. You've already gauged yourself on how you're feeling about the project. You might want to gauge the client's emotional state. Again, ask them, hey, contact them on the way or earlier that day and see, hey, how's everything going? Get that stuff out. And it's not just get it out of the way, get the niceties out of the way. You actually need to know where they are, kind of in an emotional. Maybe they had a fight, or they had a problem with one of their customers. You kind of want to give it a little bit, because you can react in a different way. Even with the body poses, posture poses. Amy Cuddy talks, or maybe I've read this in another book because I've read a bunch of books about this, but she talks about how, like, somebody doing this, the other person might do this, or somebody doing this, the other person might do this, some sort of crossing, which is more of a submissive. So definitely don't sit like that when you're in the meeting. So you want to make them feel special. So sometimes it's one person, 4 people coming in to a group of 10, or it's just you and another person, and then the client comes in, or maybe it's just one-on-one. So you just want to make sure that they feel special and part of the group. So sometimes I'll do this by saying, "Oh my gosh, did you see what so and so they did this awesome thing? You guys should check it out." So then they feel like part of the group, and they also feel like they're giving something and adding, contributing. And it's just going to help them feel like they fit in instead of being the outsider. And I think that's really important in a client situation. You don't want them to feel like an outsider. You might feel like an outsider, but you have to also start feeling like you're one of their teammates as well. Or at least helps them feel better about their position. All right, number 6. These are all the bonus ones. So explain the reasons for the choices. Don't be like, "This is what I did. What do you think?" Like, that's not very good. You got to tell them why. Get them into the story. So explain the reasons for the choices. Depending on who you're talking to, if somebody's really logical, you want to tell them why you've done certain things. And a lot of times designers, in the early stages and in school, are not great. They're like, "Well, I just did it." And that's not a good reason. You have to have a reason behind. You want to have done your research. When you show that you've done your research, man, they feel like they've gotten what they've been paid. They paid for, and they also feel like, "Oh wow, this is actually not just subjective. Design isn't subjective. It clearly works or it clearly doesn't." And if you have their bottom line as your focus, I think that's really important. So that you share that. "Hey, I know you want to get more customers. I know you're trying to, whatever action they're trying to take, sell a product, sell a service, get people to sign up, teach people, change people's attitude, go vote, whatever it is." You want to explain what the outcomes will be, what you predict the outcomes to be. Maybe you've done some testing, maybe not. And with the pitch, you're explaining the why. You're telling them the story, and you're going to get them excited. So then the next one is just reading their body language. You need to understand, if you're not good at reading body language, there are books, there are TED Talks, there's all kinds of things just about body language. And you definitely need, like, touching your neck. I think this is an Amy Cuddy. That's like another submissive kind of act. So you don't want to do that. Or if they're doing that, realize, oh, they're confused, or, clearly looks like I'm always confused because my lines of my forehead are always like this, I think. But, recognize what confusion is. And read your body language and have a tap into what theirs is as well. So your body language, understand, "Oh, I'm crossing, no, sit back up straight." And maybe put your hand on your hip just to talk and be energetic, and it'll help. Then you also want to be flexible and open, not defensive. So if they say, "Well, I don't like green, and I know why you did the green, but I need something else," and then say, "Okay, well," then the next one, so that's number 7, is read your body language and theirs. Number 8 is be flexible and open. And number 9, the last one, is be curious. So curiosity takes on a different form than defensiveness. "Well, why don't you like green?" Right? Like, that's not a very good way to be. But if you said, "Well, can you tell me why? What about green? Or is it this specific green that you don't like? What is it?" So I think those things, to me, those are the 9. They're not really easily done into quick little things, but I am going to write it. I'm going to write this as a blog post as well. So I wanted to tell you one experience that I had to get somebody on my page, and now I look at the back of this and I'm like, "Oh, I hate this thing." But it was me trying something. And I think sometimes it's just having a client that's going to let you try some things. So my client was a retirement community in San Francisco area. And so Chateau Cupertino. So plugs to Chateau Cupertino. So they, had kind of the glossy thing. I can show you some of the others. I mean, none of them. They were all glossy. They were all like happy old people. And I was like, they'd been my client for 10 years. So I knew a lot about the background. So what I did was I said, you know what? They get in and they talk. Like when I go see my mama, my grandmother, all she does is talk about when she was a kid or when she was early married or, you know, other times in her life. It's not like yesterday what she did. It was like what she did when she was in her 70s because she re-roofed her house in her 70s. I hope I am that able. She's an awesome little spitfire lady. So anyway, that's what you need, I think, is to, what I was telling him, I said, John, you know, that was the guy's name, John, I think we need to pop in and get into their, what's important to them. Because it's not, most of the people are searching for a place for their family member to live, their mom or their dad or their grandparent. But really, you want to be able to meet the needs of the people there. And if you know that you could touch those people, not touch them in a creepy way, but touch them in an emotional way, then maybe you will be meeting their needs as opposed to other people who weren't. So we ended up coming up with, I used a bunch of images that I'd gotten at yard sales, which I think are mine, which copyright-wise, I believe they are. But so I ended up buying images. Some were things that I had scanned, old. I really can do clipping paths pretty good. Like that's one of my superpowers because that's what I did at my first job and I got good at it. I bought some ephemera from Etsy and I ended up putting all these. And then some of these are just like, that's my husband's Uncle John. And so, and look at the clipping path. Can you see? Like, oh, well, it's jagged on the edge. It's that deckled edge. You can't really see, I know. Well, maybe you can a little bit. Anyway, so we put this whole thing together. This was a tiny little button that I got from eBay, I think. And so then, and I made the background color so that it would all go together. And that's like one of my husband's friends. This was somewhere in Alabama, but I made it say Chateau Cooper or Cupertino, California. I don't know if you can see that, but you know, I should be good at Photoshop work by this point. And again, all the type is a little bit bigger because it's for somebody older. And then I redid all these, you know, a lot of clipping paths on these keys or any little pieces that went. So it all went together. And I used the Library of Congress. Oh, we all lost connection. Oh, boogers. Sorry. Well, I'm just showing you this piece. But we put all kinds of things that the people would feel like it was for them. Great. Thank you, Brian, for letting me know. And then everybody would get one of these little things. They wouldn't get all three of these little cards. But anyway, so this is like something I had gotten at a, I don't know, yard sale. There's this place, awesome place. Jason, I'll have to tell you about it. Called Charles Phillips here locally, and they're rocking awesome. And they always have stuff. But then, you know, this kind of sat up, and so there were just two different things. And I mean, I took old stamps because I love stamps. So I had that stamp and I clipped around it. I think the shadows are a little too much, actually. Yes, I thought you said a bad word. Anyway, I didn't read Flickr. I read something else. But anyway, so, and I even took the time to do something even on the inside of the pocket, right? Even nobody's going to see that picture, but I made sure that it was there. And I kept going, and you know, it's just connecting these memories. And I still, to this day, I still like, it feels a little overdone, but that's kind of what it's like being talking to my grandmother and talking to, you know, they lived back then. And so their days are still, and I tried to do hand-drawn type, and I didn't do very good, but that's my hand-drawn type. I made a map. But then, like this, Library of Congress, thanks to Bethany Heck for turning me on to the Library of Congress. Big ass type, excuse me for my language there, but that's what I would say in class if somebody had type like this. But it's for old people, so we're okay with that. You know, this is another Library of Congress image. I mean, these are absolute, and this is like in California, so I thought that was so great. And in like the 1940s, they had some images from the Library of Congress are in color because they did slide film. So it's so neat to see some of this, because normally we don't have stuff like that in there. But look at this one. Like, I don't know whose granny this is, but I love this picture. Like she's in her bed eating ice cream or something. And then just little things that they would have. I did a coffee stain, and I got him excited. You know, they put up food. So there was an image like that, I think, from Library of Congress. You know, just different things. Oh, this one was a great one. A lot of times there are not a lot of African American pictures in color from way back then. But this kid was from the Library of Congress, and I think he's awesome. So there's a bunch of others. And like somebody's recipe. Can you see that? And they have great, like, obviously their selection, dinner selection is important. But, you know, we did everything. Like, another Library of Congress, this is just a tag or something. Looks like it's from Melbourne. I think I got a bunch of stuff from anyway, and like this one was from Getty. I mean, we did buy some because we wanted to make sure we were representing all nationalities. I think that's really important when you're doing design. Anyway, that's my Periscope, and that was not a really good end, but that's how it is in my class too. We just stop. So I just want to thank you guys for doing this way, and I hope you learned something. I'm sure the recording is going to be like in the middle of my chest or something because the other recording's a little bit lower. I will take a picture of this setup because I think it's pretty hilarious. But thank you guys for coming. Thank you for all the feedback that I got in an email, in an email, one single email, in you know what I mean, in emails. And just thanks for trying something new with me. And I hope that it just keeps getting better. Next week we're off. And then Ryan Hamrick, and I'm like a huge type, he's just such an influence for me, and just seems like such a neat guy. I don't know him, so I'm excited to get to know him, and hopefully you guys will get to know him too. So in 2 weeks, I will see you with Ryan Hamrick, and then it's almost December, and I'm only doing one episode in December, and that's with Rocky Rourke, and I'm real excited to have him on. He's really doing some awesome stuff. Had a Kickstarter that got funded and starting slap stickers. And so, and there's somebody in the middle, and I can't remember. Oh, I do, Danielle Langdon. Oh my gosh, and she is crazy excited about cards, and she is hilarious. So I hope she gets some of that funniness out. Anyway, I will see you guys. Thanks so much for the hearts. Thanks for coming, and I'll see you in 2 weeks with Ryan Hamrick, and I'll tell you where it's going to be. Might try Blab. I might try another area, but I will let you know way in advance, and I'll put it on the promos and if we change. But it'll probably be our regular, and maybe we'll start something in the new year. Maybe that sounds probably better, don't you think? And nobody responds. Just hearts. Okay, that's awesome. Thank you. But send me an email. Diane@designrecharge.org. Okay, great. I think maybe start at the new year, and then that way we can. But I'd like to. I'll probably do some little tests. Like Jeremy Rivers was the object of my private post this morning, and he's like, "I'm sorry I didn't see," and I was like, I just needed to practice something to make sure I could do this. So. Thank you guys. Thank you, Jeremy, for all the help. And Brian, I just can't thank you enough. And Carlos, can't wait to talk to you, hopefully next week. And Jason, I will see you on Saturday. Thank you, guys. Let's see if I can, I know. Let's see if I can quit this with my headband, How do you stop this? Swipe down to stop. All right. Bye, guys. Oh, boogers.